Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently at the heart of the disaster. The fierce storm Boris, as you've heard, has brought relentless rain, submerging this entire region in a sea of water. Water levels have risen to critical heights, surpassing all previous predictions. Even the most fortified dikes are under immense pressure, and people are in a state of panic as the water continues to flood homes and streets. What will happen next? How much longer before everything is completely swept away? We are witnessing terrifying scenes here at the site, as the relentless waters continue to assault residential areas. What you see here is just the tip of the iceberg. The water has overwhelmed protective measures that have been in place for days, turning streets into raging rivers. Rescue teams are facing immense challenges as the floodwaters sweep away everything in their path. We've spoken to many residents who only had time to grab a few personal belongings and evacuate in a state of fear. This scene is truly heartbreaking, ladies and gentlemen. These residents had to leave behind their homes, possessions, and even precious memories just to escape with their lives. Many of them don't know if they'll ever have the chance to return to their homes. This flood has not only swept away material possessions, but also the hopes of thousands of families. They are now facing a harsh reality. Everything they once had is vanishing beneath the ever-rising floodwaters. You can clearly see, this bridge once served as a main transportation route connecting the entire region. But now it is nothing more than a twisted heap of steel amidst the fierce floodwaters. As the waters breached the banks, the terrifying force of the flood swept away everything in its path, including even the most solid structures. This is just one of many bridges, roads, and homes that have been destroyed. The people here have no way to retreat. They are completely isolated and now rely entirely on rescue teams for survival. There are homes, once the refuge of 3 generations of a family, that are now nothing but ruins, submerged under floodwaters. The family had to evacuate within minutes as the water began to flood in. Their memories, belongings, and way of life have been swept away by the raging flood. This is not an isolated story, but the harsh reality that thousands of families across Central Europe are facing. The feeling of helplessness, panic, and loss is overwhelming this place. In the evacuation centers, thousands of people are taking shelter in difficult conditions. Relief organizations are working tirelessly to provide food, water, and temporary shelter for those who have lost their homes. However, with the growing number of people in need of aid, resources are quickly running out. The biggest concern right now is not only the floodwaters, but also the shortage of food, clean water, and medical services. Everything is on the brink of collapse. Firefighters, police officers, and rescue workers are racing against time. With every passing minute, the water levels rise higher, washing away any hope of rescuing those still trapped. They are facing an extremely dangerous situation, as the water flows too rapidly, and many roads have turned into deadly rivers. We have witnessed heartbreaking scenes where many residents had to abandon their homes, unable to escape in time. This is a battle against nature, and perhaps we are not always the victors. From this vantage point, we can see the entire town of Głuchołazy has disappeared beneath the floodwaters. What were once bustling streets are now nothing but a vast expanse of water. Historic buildings, shops, everything has been completely submerged. The town's famous bridge, a cultural landmark, is now just floating debris. Water levels continue to rise, and no one knows what will happen in the coming hours. This may well be one of the worst disasters in the region's history. Weather experts have issued urgent warnings. According to the latest data, the rainfall shows no signs of stopping, and new storms are approaching the area. We are facing one of the largest floods in the past 3 decades, and it could last for many more days. Rescue forces are on high alert, but given the scale of this disaster, they are up against an enormous challenge. The biggest question now is, can we withstand the forces of nature? In Budapest, the situation is no better. The Danube River, one of Europe's largest rivers, is rising to near record levels. The water has reached a critical point, just a few meters away from overflowing the banks and flooding nearby residential areas. Local authorities have ordered the evacuation of thousands of residents. All efforts are being focused on reinforcing the riverbanks. However, with the relentless rainfall, no one can be certain what will happen in the coming hours. The city is facing a potential disaster. These residents have lost everything, and now they can only rely on help from relief organizations. The scene at evacuation centers is very tense. People are lining up in the rain, hoping to receive food, water, and essential supplies. However, with the overwhelming number of people in need, resources are quickly running out. Fears of a humanitarian crisis are looming as the number of homeless continues to rise and the weather shows no sign of improving. We are at the scene where police and rescue workers are searching for 3 people who went missing after their car was swept into the Sterek River. This is one of the most tense search operations we have ever witnessed. The fast-flowing water and mud have covered all traces, making the rescue efforts incredibly difficult. Time is running out, and with every passing minute, the hope of finding them alive is becoming more and more faint. We are standing in front of a large dam, where engineers are doing their utmost to manage the massive influx of water from the rivers. However, with the relentless rainfall, water levels are nearing a dangerous point. If this dam breaks, it will sweep away numerous villages and cause an unimaginable disaster. Local authorities have issued an emergency evacuation order for all residents living near the dam. But the question remains, will they be able to escape before the worst happens? Here, at one of the region's most critical levees, residents and rescue teams are working around the clock to hold it steady. Sandbags are being piled continuously. But with the rushing water pouring in from the rivers, maintaining this levee is becoming increasingly difficult. If it breaks, dozens of villages will be submerged within hours. The urgency is evident on the faces of the people, yet they continue working with the faint hope that they can withstand the power of the rising waters. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is our final image from the scene. The entire area has been submerged by the floodwaters, leaving nothing but devastation and sorrow. This disaster is not just a story of material destruction, it's a story of people, of lives lost, and of hopes that have vanished. Thousands of residents now face an uncertain future, and only time will tell how they will rebuild from this tragedy.